Welcome back to TV5 News at 9. We are joined again by Kathy Kilbourn and our friends at Tri-City Furniture for another edition of Design Time. And of course, with it being spring outside, you want to open up the windows and get everything clean. Of course, that's what we do when winter goes away. But a lot of folks, too, want to get a whole new, fresh look in their house. And Kathy is talking to us about that today. And, you said a common question folks ask is, where do I start? Sometimes they'll come in and say, I painted, now I got to match everything. But first, that's really not where you want to begin, right?
Absolutely. The problem is that there are so many color choices. And today in fabrics, we have more limited options and designs. So I've brought a few fabrics here, and you see they're varying shades of teals and blues and lime greens. So it's really important to know when you're starting a project that you find that piece of inspiration first, rather than the paint. So most people start with this, okay? And really they need to start with their car keys and go find that specific piece that they're going to work around. There are, in my store, about 7,000 fabrics. And when people come in, they're probably only going to find one or two that they really like. Oh, this is perfect. This is going to be like, I can do some blues, I can do some limes. But when you go to paint, there are 80 million shades of paint. So if you happen to pick one that actually isn't in the furniture color palette, it can be almost impossible to find something to match. So you're going to want to find the fabric first and then go to the carpeting or the flooring that you're going to use, because again, they're more limited on those, maybe 3,000, 4,000 options, and then match the paint, because now the paint can be specifically dyed to match exactly the color. So if I can't find a paint in this teal, they can make it match. And the same with an area rug. So those have some specific colors, and it's very important to know those for the paint at the end and not the beginning. And many people come in, I've painted, I've picked my flooring, and now I've got to find a sofa. And the colors, can be green based, they can be yellow based, they can be pink based. And if you haven't stayed into one color palette, you can have a real confusion. So that makes it much more difficult. I've seen a lot of people in paint stores and just kind of gazed over and say, could I help you find a paint? And they'll say, sure, I need a neutral, a beige. And I'm like, what are you matching? I'm like, I don't know, I just need a beige. So I could close my eyes and pick one, and I have about as good a chance as the lottery to make the right choice. So make sure your paint is always last.
Okay, and for folks that say that their color changes when it gets on the wall, sometimes that happens. You look at a swatch like you have here, and you think, well, geez, that looks way too blue or looks way too green.
Right. What you have to do with paint is, in the palette, you need to look at the very deepest color, because that will tell you the true base of the color. In neutrals, that's the one that's probably the most difficult, because you might see it as a neutral here, but if you actually look way down, it's green. And that will happen with all of the colors, because they blend color. They do not have anything actually pure today. And you want to always remember also that paint goes on darker than it looks. So when you're painting, when it dries, it always darkens down. So I always tell people to choose something more from the middle towards the lighter. These darker tints are really not as in style as they used to be.
All right, good to know. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Design Time. Be sure to see our friends at Tri-City Furniture if you are in the spring cleaning mood and ready for a refresh. We'll see you next time.